Is this currently muted, do you think? It's not, I don't think so.
Is it on?
Yeah, it's on. Cool. It's alright.
Yeah, it's in my folder, which is right there.
Okay. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up, damn. Okay, there's a cord here. Can you pull my chair in, please? Is this computer set to not turn off is the question.
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel weird, like, all over settings. Wait, I actually have I have a MacBook. Logins.
I could not figure it out because I obviously don't have a MacBook. So.
I feel weird doing this on this.
That's alright. I mean, we'll just let her know. She'll be fine.
So originally it was like 10, 11 days. Now I got her purchase 14. I just need enough time. I feel like if I went to New Zealand,
Messenger Global and Enterprise Case
for
Competition.
3 days, probably not.
The final round of
Yeah, you got that.
Yeah,
Black.
I know. If I want to go to New Zealand, I'll do that next year. Do that separately. No, this is grand.
Is Rose here? I wasn't sure if you saw her up there. But I literally have a MacBook. Like,
What time is this supposed to start? 12:15? Where's the elevator?
they should still be prepping. What time is it now? Actually, that's not true. Who's their ambassador?
Well, I'm just trying to.
what's her name? She's got bangs. Oh, it's other microphone.
Other mic. Do we have? Oh.
Guys have a microphone today. It is currently on. I'm speaking to the microphone 6 inches away from your mouth. Hold it down here. Don't do anything crazy with it. That's all that the AV team requests. This will be in the room next to the clicker on the table. You want me to take this? You can put it outside. Yeah, that's good. Yes, I can. All right, where is the clicker? All right.
Yeah, I already put it in. It wasn't there. Yeah.
She's here to check it.
I don't. Like without blank on the start. Do you want to click through?
It will automatically. That's fine. Just leave it.
I think I said check if she was supposed to.
You can leave it in during the presentation.
Well, I don't. Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, dude. So I'm gonna do my first little yap. Walk it over to Steve. Walk around, pick it up from her, finish my spiel behind my computer, start the timer.
And you keep it with you, do you turn it off in between?
Nah, it's on. I'm gonna leave it on.
Did you turn that microphone?
That microphone is also on. If you want to check under it, yeah.
So you can just leave it on and then when you
Yeah.
need it.
And then when I'm done with my spiel, I'll probably set the microphone. Or I'll, once it's the question and answer period, I'll walk the microphone back over to them after I do my spiel. So I'll have to loop around to the front of the desk again. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Because Steve's always going to start he's always going to start it. So I'll walk him around. Or if we want someone that isn't me to hand the microphone over.
I think that might
But I have to speak into it first. So like,
yeah, I don't know if like you want to grab it from him and then trade it off.
I mean, sure.
Well, I don't know, like.
I'll walk it around for him. Walk it around for him. All right, I'm gonna go put my suit jacket on for this.
Good idea. I like your tie.
Thank you. It's my tie-dye tie. I have a one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish tie. And I asked Grace if it was business professional, and she said yes, but then I was too scared to wear it.
Well, Joe Rob is wearing a Mickey Mouse tie today.
Yeah, I saw that. But of course, you know, when I'm on camera and have to
I feel
speak,
like-
I'm like not
Oh,
gonna
of
do
course,
it.
when I'm working out.
I'm on live stream.
Okay.
But like, if I was a facilitator or behind the scenes, I would totally wear it.
Room coordinator.
Is he room coordinating today?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't
No,
know.
I feel like you have to be like.
His is a lot more chill than the bright blue red fish, you know?
I feel like in order to get like a cartoon room like that, you have to be like an old, like, distinguished.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta pull it off.
Yeah.
We're probably good to let him in now and get started. Okay. Yeah, and then we'll do last call for spectators. Yeah.
Okay.
Like my watch is right to the second, so I know that it's.
Check with the judges first.
Yep. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
We're starting as soon as they're
Hey, Chef, we're ready. How are you? Good to see you guys.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, Hannah, how are you? How are you? I still like them. Yes, everything you need.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody, to the final round of the 13th Annual Schlesinger Global Family Enterprise Case Competition. I now request that all observers please be silent, silence all cell phones, and turn off any electronic devices. At this time, I'd like to ask the judges to introduce themselves by stating their name, title, and affiliation. May I request that the lead judge begin these introductions?
Hello, Steve Schlesinger, CEO of Sago. We're a market research, data, and analytics company. Excited to see you here today. I'm a UVM grad of 1983 and have been involved in the case competition for quite some time now.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Robin Worrell. I'm head of business development and strategy at my family business. I'm second generation, and we're in the generic pharmaceutical industry. I'm also a grad of UVM, and I also participated in FECC when I was here.
My name is Chuck Tauk, and I'm a third-generation member of a family company that turned 100 years old last year. I'm retired now, graduated UVM in 1976. Don't do the math.
Adam Ifshin, I'm the co-founder and CEO of DLC in the real estate space here in the United States.
My name is Mira Bloemenbecks. I'm a professor in regional innovative capacity at the Hans University in Groningen, Netherlands. I'm involved in the FECC since the beginning as a coach and judge.
Thank you. I would now like to introduce the team from Heilbronn University of Applied Sciences. The team will have 20 minutes to present. The remaining time will be displayed on this laptop. At the 5 minutes remaining point, I will pull up the 5 minutes remaining sign. And at the 1 minute remaining, I will pull up the yellow 1 minute remaining sign. At the end of the time, I will stand to indicate the end of your time. You will have 30 seconds to complete your last thought. Judges will then have 10 minutes to ask questions of the presenting team. Once again, I will show up the green 5 minutes remaining sign and the yellow 1 minute remaining sign, and I will stand to indicate the end of the time. You will again have 30 seconds to finish your last thought. The team from Heilbronn University of Applied Sciences may now start their presentation.
So today we are looking up the starry sky while keeping our feet firmly on the ground. And in order to make that work, we need a strategy, like by playing cards. And you need to play your cards right. And currently your deck has not the best cards. One of them working together as first and second generation. I totally understand that because I'm in the same. I'm the fourth generation and I love to bring in new ideas and new ways. But I'm also really happy to have my mom by my side to back up my ideas because of the life experience and the business experience I don't have yet. So the combination of my new ways and my new perspectives and her life experience is really valuable for our company. So now we will have a look on how we can improve your card deck to win your future. So Anouk, you want to kick it off?
Gladly. Hello, everyone. Let me introduce ourselves. We are Vision Consulting from Germany, and we live by one simple truth. The future is a we project. So speaking about we, let me introduce the dream team we have today. So starting from the right, we have Simon, then we have Charlotte, I'm Anouk, and this is Hannah. So we're first on our agenda, we want to address why we are here right now. We identified 3 key issues across the dimensions family business, and business dimension, with the first key issue being that there's right now no clear path between the new ways and the experience between old and young. We have an undefined decision-making process, and there is like internal competition going on in the business right now. So our solution for today will be, we want to create weekly meetings, we want to have a family council, we want to establish the family constitution and change the current boards, but also change the positioning of ECOVECS. The impact that will lead to is that we have a combined path, we have a clear governance structure, and we have no internal conflicts. But before we can solve the problem, we need to understand where ECOVECS stands right now. So getting to you, Charlotte.
Thank you very much. So first we will have a look at the family dimension. So we have the key issue of no clear path between the new ways and the experience, with the root cause of communication issues. So first we looked at the Qian dynamics. So we have David and his father, and David wants his way in his new operations, and he's eager to establish also authority. And on the other side, we have the attempts to intervene of his father, but he doesn't want to supervise. And that creates tensions and triggers and intense discussions. So what we take with us here is a generational clash and communication issues, and the question how to balance new ways and experience, like I said in the beginning. Next, we have the family business dimension with the key issue of an undefined decision-making process and a lack of a governance structure. So, first we looked at the decision-making process, how it is right now. So on the one hand, we have David in the middle. So here, for example, we took out some scenarios. So he hired people who lacked experience in some sectors, and it created a missed opportunity to enter the market. Next was he hired people without a clear plan, and it creates a distrust of his current employees. And the last one, he prioritized marketing over R&D. And here we had customer complaints and general dissatisfaction from the media and the stakeholders. So we have we saw the effects of the decisions and the internal frustration. And what question we take with us is how to define a clear decision-making process. Next, we looked at the Sharma's performance metrics, and we saw that the company currently is in cell 4 because of the revenue fluctuations and the discussions inside the family. So we are in cell 4, but we want to get to cell 1. So how do we get there? That was the question we looked at. Last one, we had the governance framework, and we see a lot of question marks, and we are Germans, so we don't want that. So how do we fill in the gaps? That's the question we ask ourselves. So now let's move over to the business dimension. Anouk?
Yes, I will take over now. Last but not least, we have the business dimension, where we said the key issue is the internal competition, but the root cause is the overlap between the businesses. So first, we had a look at the business products, exactly, and the markets, and we saw, so EcoVas has the products of, household, vacuum, the D-bot, the AirBot, the WinBot, and the Benebot. They want to be like the Sun changed it from lazy market to premium market, and we are currently in 145 countries. But the Sun wants to focus on the US, on Japan, and Germany. And on the father side, with the Teneco business, we have also a household vacuum called Flow One, which is a bestseller, also in the premium segment. And right now we say it's like in China. So currently the problem is we have both EcoVax and Teneco products are overlapping, and we are in the same market. So the question we take here with us is how do we position the companies differently so they don't overlap? We also looked at the business dimension again, where you can see EcoVax is really in the middle and it's getting squeezed really hard between the daughter company and competition, because you have pressure from above and from beneath. So for the daughter company, we said we're in the same product niche, they're overlapping, we have a best-selling product, and of course the company, there's a rapid growth going on for the daughter company. And meanwhile, we have a red ocean of competitors in China. They are very strong in AI, in product creation, software, and of course they have a higher domestic market penetration than we have right now. So there's a pressure between our own daughter company and the competitors. So we need to ask ourselves, how do we get the competitive advantage back? We also looked at the current revenue on growth rate, where we saw from 2014 to 2023 that the total revenue is growing, but the growth rate is decreasing, and the growth rate fluctuates. So how do we stabilize the growth rate? So to sum everything up again, we said in the family dimension, there's no clear path between new ways and experiences, which stem from communication issues. We have family business dimension that says undefined decision-making process with lack of governance structure. And for the business dimension, there's the internal competition, which overlaps because of the two businesses. So let's get to the part that you don't know yet. Simon will take over now.
So yeah, thank you to you and Charlotte for showing us an overview over the current situation. And now let's dive deeper into the topic and show how you can improve your current cards. So let's begin with the family dimension again, and there is, in our point of view, only one possible option. This is the so-called communication is key, where you have make more meetings between the father and the son and a better cooperation. The positive outcome will be that there are a better connecting between those two. For the family business dimension, we choose two different alternatives. So the first one is the so-called welcome to the family, where we will hire an external CEO. The positive outcome here would be that there is a new perspective from the outside. The disadvantage is that there's a misfit with the Chinese tradition. On the other hand, we have the family first. Here we will keep David as the CEO and change just the decision-making process. The advantage on this side is that David is familiar with the company, but it's connected to an unclear future. To evaluate which of those alternatives is the best, we transferred those into a decision matrix with 4 different criteria, 2 for the business side and 2 for the family side. For the business side, we choose the criteria of revenue growth and feasibility, and for the family side, we choose the alliance to the Chinese traditions and the family harmony. For us, the two most important criteria was the revenue growth and the alliance to the Chinese tradition, so you can see also our weighting here. So at the end, we can see that the welcome to the family got at the end a result of 250 points, where the family first alternative was a clear winner with 350 points. Especially in the criteria of the feasibility and the alliance to the Chinese tradition, the family first alternative was the best. So lastly, let's have a look on the business dimension. There you can see 3 different alternatives. The first one is to stay. So here you will remain with your current situation and your current strategy. The advantage here is that you are familiar with the customers and the customer know your brand. But it's also connected to the internal competition between the two companies. The second option is to sell. Here we would sell Tineco as a company, so we will focus on EcoVex and can improve of that, but it's also connected to a loss of the well-performing company. The third option is the adaptation. So here we will change the positioning of the companies and reach out to new markets. The positive outcome here would be that we get a new customer base, but it's also connected to a higher implementation time. Again, we transfer those to a decision matrix with 4 different criteria. This time we choose 3 for the business side and 1 for the family side. The criteria this time was revenue growth, implementation time, the low execution risk, and also the family harmony. For us, the most important points was the revenue growth again and the family harmony. So you can see the result that the stay option got 300 points. The result of the sell option got 230 points, and our winner was the adaptation alternative with 360 points. And here you can see again, so the revenue growth and the family harmony was the 2 criteria which made the outcome here. So here you can see now our recommendations for you. So for the family side, we choose the communication is key, where we want to have more meetings and a cooperation between the father and the son. So we want to establish weekly meetings and establish a family council. For the family business dimension, we choose family first. Here we will keep David as the CEO, but we change the decision-making progress. Here we will develop a family constitution, but also adapt the current boards. Lastly, we have the business dimension, where we choose the option of the adaptation, and there we will change the positioning and reach out to new markets. And there we will change positioning of the EcoWorks company and reach out to new markets and adapt our current product portfolio. So now let's have a look on what you should do and how you can implement this. Again, let's start with the family dimension. So here you can see the key issue was there's no clear path between the new ways of the son and the experience of the father. The 2 ways how to do is that we establish weekly meetings between those 2 and that we establish a family council. The positive outcome will be the healthier relationship between those 2 and a clearer and faster communication. So let's begin with the weekly meetings. So we want to have weekly meetings, and there also could be increased if it's necessary. We want to also have a clear agenda. So we want to set a clear agenda where always the father will begin because of the Chinese tradition and the higher hierarchy. And we only want to talk about project issues and working methods, so just about the business things. On the other hand, we want to establish the family council. This will take part every month, so 12 times per year. And who will take part of the family council? It's Donkey and David, and also the other family members we don't know yet. And they all have to make some activities, like, for example, eating hot pot together, like sports activities, karaoke, and trust workshops. There's only the focus on the family side, so only family topics play a role on this side, and the outcome would be the healthier relationship of those two. So here we can see now our governance framework, and you can see now the left side is fulfilled. So we fulfilled the family side with the family harmony, the family council, the values, and the family activities. And to complement the right side, I will now hand over to my colleague Hannah.
Thank you, Simon. So now we'll continue with the family business side. Key issue here was the undefined decision-making process. So we recommend to develop a family constitution and to adapt the current boards that are already there. So first of all, the family constitution. You should clearly define the values that your family has. So it could be always speak the truth, focus on family first, be humble, respect the traditions, so father first and then the son, be creative and innovative. And all in all, there's this one sentence, look up at the starry sky, but also stay grounded. Secondly, we want to develop the family constitution. First of all, the succession, so it should start, the new successor should have already a university degree. He or she should also have working experiences outside the company, but also within the company. And finally, there should be a transition phase with new CEO and old CEO where they give the task to the new CEO. And if David now don't adapt to the new structures, he has 2 years, and if he doesn't adapt, we will look for a new external CEO. This is how the boards now will look like. We will have one board of directors for Tineco for the daily business decisions, and all decisions up to 10 million yen can be made by Donkey. Up to 50 million, it's made by the board of directors, and all above or important decisions are made by the board of directors with the supervisory board. On the other hand, we have a board of directors for SG-FECC. There's the same rules like for Tineco, so smaller decisions can be made by David, the bigger by the board. And for large decisions, the supervisory board must be included. Now looking at the governance framework again, it's now completed, so the German need for structure is fulfilled. Looking at Sharma's performance matrix, we started in cell 4, now managed to go to cell 1, so we have fixed financials and the father-son relationship improved. Now the third dimension, the business dimension. Here we chose the alternative adapt. So key issue here was the internal competition between the two companies. So what you should do is changing the positioning of SG-FECC and look for new markets and new product portfolios for Tineco. So first of all, the change of the positioning. For SG-FECC, you should look out for the mid and low price segment. You will have a broader customer base due to your minor prices, and you will penetrate the current market. For Tineco, you will adapt to the premium price segment as you already do. You will remain with your current customers and will reach new customer bases by reaching new markets. Now looking at the new markets and the product portfolio for SG-FECC, you should, as I already mentioned, in the current markets, so focus on your current product portfolio. For Tineco, you should evaluate and try to gain new markets, focus on R&D, which did not work out for SG-FECC now, and focus on Europe, North America or Asia, where the people are willing to go into the premium price segment. So we have two different strategies for the two companies, and both companies will gain more revenue through that. Looking at the unsolved matrix, we positioned now the two companies in two different parts of the matrix. So SG-FECC should do the market penetration, so existing products and existing market. And for Tineco, it's new products and a new market. Looking at the finances, If there's the new positioning and the market expansion, the revenues will grow by 2026, and also the growth rate will be increased. So when should you do all of this? For the family dimension, the weekly meetings between father and son will start right now. You should already start establishing the family council and start doing the family activities like eating hot pot. For the family business dimension, the family constitution should also be like in a few months implemented, and the board of directors and the supervisory board should also be adapted after that. For the business dimension, you should starting changing the positioning for EcoVECS by 2025, select the new product portfolio and market, and then try to reach the new markets step by step. Now I will hand over to Anouk again, so she will show you what you also might be aware of.
Thank you. Yeah, because no plan is without risks, right? So we created a contingency plan with some potential risks that could happen. And on number one, we have that there's a negative impact on the board decisions for other companies. So we want to mitigate it by making impactful decisions through like the common supervisory board to prevent that. So the likelihood that this is happening is pretty, as you can see, is pretty high. And the impact, like medium, but the impact will be pretty high. And for the second one, it's like David wants to implement his own ways, like we saw already. So we wanted to mitigate it with the weekly readings and the possible replacement as CEO. And of course, there could also be the problem that the expansion fails, and then we will do a waterfall strategy. So enter one market first, and then the others to mitigate that. So to summarize, we said for family dimension, there's a weekly meeting and family council, but now we have a combined path for family constitution. We created one, and we have a clear governance structure, and we want to change the positioning. And thanks to that, we don't have any internal conflicts.
So now let's look at your cards. And we see you have a full house, and now you can play your cards right to win your future. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we begin the question and answer period. This will be 10 minutes, and I will stand indicated at the end of time as well as do the signs. May I please ask the lead judge begin the question and answer period?
Absolutely. So thank you. Great presentation, and being a card player, I appreciated the card reference. I'm curious if you, along the way, looked at the opportunity of combining these two businesses, or potentially even divesting from one of the businesses, being the fact that one seems to be much more successful than the other, and just the overall idea of running one company versus running two companies.
So great question, thanks. So we thought about it, but we, for the moment, we decided to stay with two companies because we are also not, with our plan, we resolved also the generational issues, but first we want to improve that, and then maybe in the future combine the companies if we see that one is improving more or the other, or selling them was our idea.
Yeah, if I may add on, we also had the option to sell one of the companies, but in our point of view, it's good to have two different companies with different positioning to get the best result at the end.
Also, looking at the father-son relationship, we also thought it's better for them to keep it separated for now, because right now we have two different CEOs right there. We have the father, we have the son, and like the father said, right, he wants to go the maybe harder way than the easier path in life. So I think it's also challenging for both of them, but I think thanks to that, the revenue will increase, and there will be more challenges, but there will also be better outcomes than just combining it into one company.
If I may also add. So if father and son now become a closer relationship, maybe there are more ideas for how to increase the revenues for for EcoVECS. So I think there's much more potential if they work as a team and not everybody in there separately from the other one.
Thank you. Also, thank you very much. I really appreciate you putting this together and understanding some of your thoughts looking through this case. So you talked about communication being key, and you also chose that as one of the, I think, root causes for some of the issues. I'd like you to talk a little bit more about why you thought communication was the root cause. And I'd also like to better understand what you think the actual impact of fixing their communication issues would be on not only their relationship, but the businesses and the business as a whole.
So we said that it's a key issue because we read that there was a situation where David made a decision and his father wanted to intervene but then pulled back because there was the discussion and the tension. And I think also in the transition of the succession, if they had a better communication of the concerns of David and his father, then maybe they had a combination of his father completely pulling back and don't supervise at all and not letting him do everything without him. So I think that was the communication issue, that they didn't found a middle ground to solve their problems.
Maybe for the impact, if they work together, they gain a lot better impact at the end, because the father has so much experience of being a CEO, running a business and so on. And the son has maybe the insights of new working style, new methods. He lived many years in other countries, have a lot of experience in sales. And if they work together and combine this, I think they could get a really good impact for the company.
That's a great question. And if I may also expand on that, I lived in South Korea for a year in Busan, and I noticed that like a lot of people there, like my friend told me, they don't really communicate with their parents. So because it's like the hierarchy is very strict, and sometimes you need to look out for what you say or what you're doing. They do more actions than communicating. So we said, because communication needs to be a way to say, hey, I have an idea, but also maybe what's your opinion on that? So I think it's really important that we have some communication structure and that they work on that, because in my experience in Asia, it's sometimes really hard to say what you want to say to your family member, and so you don't do it.
Hi, thank you. My question has to do with the intense competition that the companies are facing. There was really no mention of the environment, the competitive environment that they're in, and I just wondered, was there a reason for that?
We mentioned it in my squeeze model. 1 second. So we didn't mention it by name because it was we called it the red ocean, because it's a very high competitive market in China. And yeah, we said there are very strong people. We have Dreamer, we have, what was it, Novel, I think, and they're all very, very good in what they're doing, right? So we wanted to look what we can do, or like how can we compete with those people, because right now we are pretty low. We are still trying to be the premium segment, but the father built it as a for the lazy customers, right? So we need to see where we want to go with that.
Yeah, maybe to add, we also thought about it because of when we looked at the market positioning. That's why we also positioned them differently, that we have one who focuses on the home market and the existing products to improve the standing in the Chinese market.
Can you pull up your slide 42? So this is your timeline. So my question is, given the severely weakening financial performance of Ecovacs, can you explain why you have a rather patient timeline with respect to making changes to the business side of the situation?
So you mean that we start quite late?
Well, it seems, I think if I read your slide right, you're waiting somewhere between 15 to 18 to 24 months to work on the business part of this. And given the financial performance of the company of late, I wanted to understand why you waited that long.
So we think that if the internal conflicts between father and son are not resolved yet, it doesn't make any sense to completely change the company. If don't work as a team together, this could be quite risky to then go to new markets, try new things out.
Okay, thank you. I want to proceed to your if you're okay with it.
I'm fine.
Yeah,
Go
you're
ahead.
there? Okay. So slide 22. So that is the alternatives for the business dimension. Could you walk me through these alternatives and explain to me if you have considered also other ones that you haven't include? And I'm particularly in the next slide, well, it's here, yeah, why you sell Tineco and why you didn't sell SG-FECC as a proposition. So general.
So the reason why we want to sell Tineco is because SG-FECC is our mother company, and we want to focus on SG-FECC because it's the company which built up all of this and has a really good standing from the beginning on. And we want to be better with SG-FECC. And if we sell Tineco, we can focus on SG-FECC again and business plans there.
And if you go one slide, if you go one slide back to the so you've got this decision-making matrix. Could you walk me through that? Why? No, it's the business dimension matrix. Yes, that's one. So how did you come with the 4 or 5s? Not too long, but just give us a general idea of how you evaluated these.
Yes, of course. If I begin with the revenue growth, for example, so in our point of view, if we stay where we are with the current situation, the revenue can't grow really much. But if we adapt those, we can have a higher impact. So in the long term, I think we get more revenue growth. And for example, for another criteria with the implementation time, of course, if we stay on where we are, we don't need time to change it. But if we adapt it, it needs a lot of time, a lot of putting things together, but at the end the impact could be higher. But so at the end the result was that we have to adapt the company.
If you go real quickly to slide 17.
Of course.
So we talked a little bit about the business, and we've surely talked a lot about the family. When you look at these 3 dimensions, which is the highest priority for you?
So firstly, the family dimension to resolve the conflict between father and son, because in a family business that's also really important to get further and to make decisions. And then, of course, by the family business and business dimension, it's more a little bit more on the business side to fix the revenue issue we have. So that's the second point. And the family business dimension with the governments, it's not that urgent like the other 2. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next
Jack.
The next presentation in this room will be at 1 p.m.
And then someone else, yeah, Maddie closed it.
Can you?
I can
Close
close
that
both of
one?
them.
Right, yeah, close both of them
I'll
and bring them in.
that one and then walk around to the back to my seats. And then
Okay.
Yeah, you want to bring them into, like,
Yeah.
exit through
I
that
will.
door, shut that.
We got
15, yeah, we've got 1 minute.
I'll get a minute.
Or,
Oh, okay.
all right, you guys ready to start the presentation? Yeah, if you're ready, we're ready.
Close the door. Door. No, it's fine. Welcome to the final round of the 13th annual Schlesinger Global Family Enterprise Case Competition. I now request that all observers please be silent. Please silence all cell phones and any other devices. At this time, I would like to ask the judges to introduce themselves by stating their name, title, and affiliation. May I please request the lead judge to start the introductions?
Good afternoon. Steve Schlesinger, CEO of SEGO. We're a market research data and analytics company. I'm a 1983 graduate of UVM, and I'm excited to hear your presentation today.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you. My name's Robin Worrell, and I'm head of business development and strategy at my family business. I'm second generation in the generic pharmaceutical field. I am also a UVM alum, and I also competed in the second ever FECC.
My name is Chuck Tauk, and I'm a third-generation member of Tauk Inc., which is an international travel company. We just celebrated 100 years. I'm retired now, but really interested in family business dynamics.
My name's Adam Ifsh, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of DLC, a real estate company here in the United States.
Hi, my name is Mira Bloemen. I'm a professor on regional innovative capacity at the Hans University in the Netherlands.
Thank you. I would now like to introduce the team from Chulalongkorn University's Sasson School of Management. The team will have 20 minutes to present. The remaining time will be displayed on this laptop. With 5 minutes remaining, I will hold up the green 5 minutes remaining sign. At 1 minute remaining, I will hold up the yellow 1 minute remaining sign. When the 20 minutes are up, I will stand to indicate the end of your time. You may take up to 30 seconds to complete your last sentence. Judges then have 10 minutes to ask questions to the presenting team. Once again, I will signal 5 and 1 minute remaining. At the end of 10 minutes, I will stand to indicate the end of your time. You may take up to 30 seconds to complete your last sentence. The team from Sasson School of Management may now start their presentation.
Good afternoon. I am Patria. This is Andrepa, Pascal, and Pauline. And we're here to help the company navigate through a demanding industry, not just as a business, but as a family business. So please feel free to look at the printed agenda as I take you through the current situation. At a business axis, we are in a growth stage, which is full of potential for innovation and growth. However, the other companies in the market are in the same state. For the ownership axis, this is arguably the most difficult phase we're at, which is passing the baton. And you've done a great job of giving your son the opportunity to learn and grow. And the question now is, what's next? For a family axis, currently, because it is just the two of you, it may be easy to slip into the idea that we can just focus on the business, but we'd like to take a more holistic approach and consider the family and its legacy. So our governance structure today is going to be taking this holistic approach. We're going to split it into the family axis, the family business axis, and the business axis. And we're going to see that our decisions here are going to be based off the family's values and vision. In a bit more detail, the family is going to be about how do we build this emotional connection and relationships for future generations. For the family business, we're going to be talking and ideating through multiple ownership and governance structures. As for the business, we're going to be focusing on multiple strategies that we can use to address this loss of trust from our key stakeholders. So to take us through the first of our 3 pillars, I'd like to pass to Anrupa to talk about family.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. So as a family, we can see that both of you have the same entrepreneurial spirit and share the same vision of building something greater for the future generation. We see that this is a very strong characteristic of a successful CEO. And in terms of relationships, we see that your relationships are already strong, and we really admire your supportive nature as father and son. However, we also want to ensure that there are some conversations still going on between the two of you, whether that be business or even personal life matters. So we suggest that you two do a shared activity together to increase communication and ensure that the family cohesion is maintained. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that through a family office. We see that this could be used as a medium where both of you can have a shared open conversations together and also build on your entrepreneurial spirit. These activities could be in talking about some investment ideas, coming up with themes, as well as through the family office. You could also gain some new tech ideas or business ideas to build on your current business. This is also a long-term thinking for future generations, which will serve as a building block to build something greater. But for short term, we also offer some light activities that could be done right away. This could be through philanthropic activities. This doesn't have to be done by the two of you. It could be the whole family. But the aim here is to build connections between the two of you to ensure that there is family cohesion maintained into the future. Now with that, I'd like to pass on to Pascal, who will talk you through the family business.
Thank you, Onumpa. All right, so let's look at the family business dynamics of this. So we came up with 2 core problems. I'm going to walk through this separately so it's not too confusing. So problem number 1 that we identified is that we have unclear governance structure between the 2 companies because they're both under one roof. So if one fails, we potentially go down together, and we don't want that to happen. So another thing would be if one company does bad, it could be that this swaps over to the other company, and we don't want that. So we came up with options. How can we solve this problem? The first one is that we create a holding company which incorporates both companies, SG-FECC and TNECO. So we can do this relatively quiet. Plus, we get a good governance structure which works for both companies. But a potential downside, it would cost us more because we have more boards. A second option would be splitting the companies and creating a clear line between them. This will create good governance structures for both entities. But we think it's going to be bad for the family harmony, and it could also lead to resentment from employees. And last but not least, it could come bad, like the media coverage could be bad. So we settled to go with option 1, and we recommend that you create a holding company which incorporates SG-FECC and TNECO. And how we want to structure that, we're going to have the holding company which has its own board, where you 2 guys are on the board. Plus, there's one senior executive from both companies that joins that board as well. Plus, Dongxi would have a veto right if there's 2 versus 2. Then we will create a separate board for both entities. So with that, if one fails, we don't pull both of them down together. They can operate independently like they do now, but they can still profit from each other. Let's come to the second problem that we see. The current state of SG-FECC does not allow it to grow and to survive as a family business. And an important point here, we want to be family first. We always want to keep the family in mind. But we also have to think about, what if we cannot turn around the company? What if we fail? So the impacts would be that the shareholders lose confidence. And this would lead to financial stress. And also the loss of consumer trust. The media could backlash on us, or consumers just don't want to buy our products anymore. So we came up with different options to solve this. First would be, we create a new board, which is kind of based on option 1, or the first problem we talked about. We bring in potentially new executives, and we want you, Dongxi, to help your son in critical decisions and help him secure the company's legacy. What we see as a negative point here, that it could lead to loss of shareholder trust, because we're already not doing good since a couple of months, years now. So the second option would be bringing an external CEO. This would potentially gain shareholder trust if we find the right person to do that job. And with restructuring that the new CEO could do, this could potentially also bring back our profitability. But there's concerns there as well. Can he do it? Can he bring back profitability? And do we find the right person to actually do that? A third option would be delisting the company from the stock exchange. So with that, we would hope to reduce the financial stress, because the shareholders are not that active anymore. We can get away from the whole market dynamics. This could potentially lead to media backlash, though. Employees may be not aligned with this option. And it doesn't solve the profitability problem and our products. A fourth option would be to sell ECOVECC completely. This would create liquidity for other ventures where you could potentially invest in. And through a family office, you would have the option to pursue these ventures on your own. But it destroys part of the family legacy. So we could recommend that we go with option 1. You should try one more time. And David, with the help of your dad, you two guys together, we think that you have the chance to turn this company around. So this would mean that we have new board, new executives that would help turning around the company. And we also thought about a next step. What if it doesn't work out? And we think the right option here is to sell the company. There is a high risk, though. If we're too late, we might not get enough or not the amount of money that we want for the company. If we sell it, we can keep the entrepreneurial spirit alive through other investments. We can explore other venture possibilities. So now that we covered the 2 identified problems in the family business dynamics, let me pass it on to Pauline, who will talk more about the business dynamics.
Thank you. So earlier, we have worked on the family pillars, on establishing the values, the visions. And although your families right now are small, but a strong foundation is always important for the future. And then we work on the family business, putting the right governance, structuring the company, and finding ways to have a strong governance for the future. So over to my part, I'll focusing on just the business side. I know that right now, both of you must be overwhelmed by the pressures of the markets, pressure internally, externally, and everything, and within the high, fast-moving markets. So over to my part, I'll suggest you solutions that could potentially help solve them. Started off by assessing the current situation. I break down into internal and external. Started off by the internal side. We see that right now there are cannibalism. There are products that are overlap in terms of the purpose of the product. The kind might be slightly different, but at the end of the day, it's pretty similar and we're competing against each other. Which, if we unaddress this, neither could thrive. We're competing against each other. The second point is the imbalanced focus on marketing and R&D. Although we know that marketing, building brand awareness, building brand equity, building trust with customers through marketing and sales are important, but at the end of the day, it's R&D as well. The core essence is the innovation, the technology that makes you remain relevant in the market, and also the customers to trust your service. And lastly, it's growing skepticism among employees. There's a lot of change. We just passed the baton. But how are we going to be able to retain all the high quality, the talents, the insights, the knowledge, all the soft skills in the company to be with us? In order to ensure that, we wouldn't have a discouraged workforce or high turnover or lower productivities. And over to the external side, we know that right now we're in the market that are low barriers to entry, and that could lead to high competition in the market, even though we're innovative with new ideas or anything. But low barriers entries to the market still make it easy to replicate technology and make it harder for you to maintain the market shares. And that could lead to a price wars where we might, at the end of the day, fighting to lower the cost, lower the price as much as possible. Well, we don't want to go to that side. And second, we are a published company. With the falling stock price and enterprise values and all the pressures from shareholders, from investors, those things could negatively impact the liquidity of the company eventually. And therefore, our solutions come with step by step. So I list down numbers. There's actually a total of 5. But in terms of rank, I put it in the highest priority and rank down in terms of like the immediate one that should be done and over time. But overall, our solutions central around how to regain trust from customers, employees, and investors. The first one is rebalance investment and focus. We see that we need to invest more on R&D. We need to bring out innovation technology, not just technology for new product, but technology to make the existing product even better. And we hope that this could help ensure our technology remain relevant in the market and also allow us to maintain being the front runner, the position in the market, and able to disrupt the market with technology. And that would help with the market reputation. Although it might not see an immediate results within the next few months or few days, but it's something that we need to invest for the medium and long term. And second, build a strong cash cow product. Although right now we have the vacuum and the mopping that are pretty much selling the same, but having a strong cash cow product actually helps the company to have the liquidity and ensure trust and stability of the business for the future. And with that, it helps ensure that the existing core product give enough attention to them, but still innovating something into them as well. And the third one is create an ecosystem across product in the company. What I say for ecosystem, for example, like the Apple, you have iPhone, you have Apple Watch, you have all the ecosystem. It allows you to kind of lock in the customers to remain under all your products. So in the future, if you roll out other product lines, it makes it sticky for customer to remain and unlikely to change in the future. So we believe that where right now it's just robot for all, but we hope that our product could become a solution for home food service robot for all, like in one solution that customers can think of. And with that, it helps increase sales, sustain the sales over time, make it sustainable for sales and growth in the future. And moving on to the fourth and fifth ideas. The fourth one is we need to consider penetrating to B2B market. Right now we have EcoWax and Tineco. It might be a little bit confusing. Right now we see that we should leverage the current position of Tineco and brand it towards B2C. But again, I'm not telling you to throw away EcoWax. We should leverage the existing name that's already in the market and penetrate them into B2B businesses. And with that, it helps diversify pool of clients, not just the retail customers that might have a very high marketing cost, but penetrating, building a size for B2B, help diversify clients with slightly lower cost compared to retail. And lastly, the most important stakeholder in our company is reconnecting with your employees. We suggest establishing a town hall to communicate business direction and plan, making them feel like we're in the same company, we're on the same boat, we're in the same house. And establishing casual meetings like Tipsy Thursday or Friday beer to make a connection bonding with all the employees. And with that, we hope that we could rebuild the trust and connect the employees once again. So with that, we cover all the 3 pillars. I'll move on to the implementation plan on how to do it.
Thank you. So you might be asking now, what next? We're proposing a short-term, medium-term, and long-term plan. From tomorrow onwards, we recommend all key stakeholders and both of you to sit down together and talk about your investment strategies. This means rebalancing your investment portion into R&D. The company prides in innovation, excellence, and we want to make sure that that remains and your products remain a competitive edge in the industry. After that is completed, we recommend in the next few months everyone to sit down together again and talk about restructuring the business and building a governance structure that will ensure that it will be able to weather any future possibilities. These activities include implementing a board structure and also reconnecting with employees. Reconnecting with employees, we see that this is also a very important step as they are the back-end support of our company, and we need to ensure that they feel that they are part of the family. In the last phase, for our long-term outlook, we recommend the family could start, both you and David sit down together and maybe consider starting a family office. This is a long-term opportunity where you could build well together and also explore other opportunities where you could come back and expand on your current business. With that, I'll pass on to Pearl to talk about the risk and mitigation plan.
So for our risks and mitigations, we've listed a couple here, but we'd like to highlight the top two, which are how can we regain this traction if it doesn't come back, and how we're going to cover the costs of our implemented proposed structure. For the first issue, if the market conditions do continue to be difficult, then we may not be able to regain what we originally thought we would have. In this case, we'd like to recommend in the short term that we really do double down on this innovation, because this is still a new and growing market, and there are still spaces that we can innovate. So for example, we see trends of agentic AI being added to hardware, and we see increasing trends in the smart home automation. And so if we continue to become first movers in this space, we can build this moat to keep people engaged. But if this still doesn't work, in the long term, we'd like you to recognize that the family business isn't just tied to this business, but is the wealth that we carried on. So we could consider doing M&As. As for covering the costs of our new boards, for this may require us to reevaluate our current cost structures. This may mean that we have to look into the current operations and also our current product lines. So if we might reduce some, for example, we saw that the drone technologies are increasing, and these might be replacing the window washing tools that we are already using. In this way, we have covered the shared values and the vision. We use this to build the 3 pillars of our strategy, which for the family, this means connecting through the family office. For the family business, we proposed creating a holding structure, and for the business, we propose that we double down on the focus on innovation. In this way, we have a 3 boards governance structure, which is going to ensure that we continue to prosper and that this wealth and legacy is going to last for generations into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Judges will now have 10 minutes to ask questions of the presenting team. I invite the lead judge to begin the question and answer period.
Thank you, and thank you very much for helping me and my son navigate these challenging times. It's appreciated. One of the things I was curious about is the idea or the concept around combining these 2 companies. You talk about sort of working together, but there's no mention of really truly integrating them together. I would like to just hear your thoughts on whether, one, that was a consideration, and if it was, what would be the benefits of doing something like that?
We have considered the integration as well, because by integrating, you can integrating the back office, the R&D, and gaining economies of scales. But at the end of the day, at this critical point where it's a fast-moving market and technology, you might wake up tomorrow and our technology become nothing redundant. There's a lot of things changing. So which is why we decided to kind of split out the structure to ensure that even if one loses away, another remains strong. But however, we're not talking about 2 companies competing against each other. It's just on the paper. However, we still want both of you to work together to thrive in this market.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate hearing a lot of your insights and analysis and some creative ideas. You touched a little bit on the idea of potentially selling the company, and one thing you pointed out that I appreciated was how important the timing was. What I would have liked to hear a little bit more about is, did you discuss what did that timing actually look like? I think you had as an alternative, if certain things don't go a certain way, we might have to look at selling. Maybe it's part of the business or all of the business. Did you look at timelines around that and when that would actually be put in place and might be necessary?
Yeah, we did. So the timeline we discussed is about a year. If we cannot gain traction within the next year, and we don't see that we're actually getting better, we would consider selling the company.
And I would like to add on to that in terms of what indicators should we take in and why 1 year makes sense. For us, we see that right now your company is actually generating revenue. There's still some profit, although the margins are being squeezed. So there's actually some runway for you to try out and reconnecting, re-emphasizing into this market. So that is why we believe that you still have some time. It might not be a lot, but still. Thank you.
Thank you.
One of your key elements is you had it under the heading of maintaining family cohesion into the future. And the idea was the family office, to get the two of us together. I'm David, and my dad lets me go and do my own thing, but he doesn't really listen to me. Are there other individuals that you considered to be part of this exercise? Consultants, advisors? I think what I understood is that it's just the two of us, and I'm scared.
Well, our idea of the family office is to include both of you and also investment advisors to help them navigate through these all options of like venture funding and all that. But since it's a family office, it's family first. So we also want to ensure that family voices are heard and that their goals are aligned and they get to do what they do. But the underlying objective of a family office is just to provide like a shared activity to ensure that there are still some conversations going on between the two of you, so that in case in the future, if they're not talking to, both of you are not talking to each other, there could be some misunderstandings.
And also adding on to the point on how we're gonna navigate to, although like you have experience in doing this business, but in investment, you might be a bit new. So we recommend you connecting with the private bank where the RM's team will help you identify deals either through private equity funds or co-investment. And all those deal and advisory would help you ensure that those investments will be successful. Thank you.
So at one point, you put an option on the table about delisting the company, taking the company private, family owned. Could you give us a little more context into why you didn't pursue that as part of your implementation plan?
So on the delisting part, first, why we came up with that option. So we're seeing that right now with the Chinese EV manufacturers, which is a pretty hard market as well. So there are actually companies like Seeker delisting because they get the financial stress of the capital market being listed. And with delisting, they can reduce that stress from the capital market and investors. So that's why we sought delisting. But on the other hand, we also see that you, David, especially, are still young. There's still a lot of time. And we don't think you have to be attached too much on a single business as well. We also see that there's other options in the future, that there's other ventures, other potential things you can do. So that's why we didn't proceed with the delisting option and preferred the selling option.
So thank you. Would you consider this to be also a succession issue in this family, and how did the succession turn out, and how culture is involved in that, considering that David has spent a lot of his time being educated in the Western culture and being involved in the international division of the family for a long time. So I was just wondering, what was your discussion on succession within this cultural context?
Okay, we see that right now the company is actually, you have passed on the baton. David is now the CEO. However, we see that right now we need a governance structure to ensure that David could help fit in, that you could fit in a company and making the right decision, bringing in right expertise to come in. So which is why we introduced the governance in order to ensure that. It is something you have already passed on, and David's, you're already a CEO. There's no taking a step back. It's like we already passed on the baton like 75%, but almost there. But there's still room for us to fix. So which is why we recommend the governance structure to come in to help ensure that the decision made are incorporate of all stakeholders and expertise and knowledge.
So yes, the governance structure is definitely going to help, but also you talked about the clash in values about being abroad. And so we know you talked about how you respect having your child so he can bring innovations that you otherwise wouldn't. So we see this as a benefit. So he comes with his own individuality, his own strengths, which is going to be beneficial to the business.
Can I ask another one?
You're on.
Thank you. I'm curious because you touched on some interesting things here with the Q&A. If we had some opportunity to go back in time, is there anything that you would change in what got us to this point today, whether it's in the business or the family, or both?
I think one of the things that we would want to recommend you is establishing the advisory board or the executive board first to ensure that even there's a change in leadership, there's still some structure that help ensure that the decision make are able to help business continue successfully. That's one of the things. The second thing is, although we know how important marketing is, but R&D has still remained the core essence, we see that we really need to invest in R&D earlier on and keep that as the core essential. So those are the two things we believe. And
Maybe to answer on the second part, I mean, it's always easy to look back and fix things. Maybe you, David, got thrown into cold water a bit too much, which was a potential problem in the succession. And this may be the reason why we're at this point. But as I said, looking back, that's always easy to say.
Great, thank you.
So moving forward, you've given us a lot of options. You've given us a lot to think about. Sort of two parts to a question. What is the one thing that we have to get right moving forward? What's our highest priority? And then second, what is the one thing we have to watch out for that could really hurt us in the end?
I think right now the top priority is the innovation and the technology, which makes your business stands out at the beginning and would help sustain the business in the long run. So our top priority is actually investing in R&D, although the result might see a little bit slower. And the other point, oh, sorry.
I can do the second part. So on the second part, in the end, you guys are a family. So don't forget yourself. Don't start clashing over these business. Business is one thing, family and your cohesion together, it's the other thing. So keep that in mind. Try to get along with each other. Try not to get into fights with each other. And I think even if you can turn around the business or not, as long as you keep close together and keep yourself aligned, we think that that's going to be good.
We have just one quick question of clarification. Your backup plan in the event that your primary recommendation doesn't work is an M&A recommendation, a sale. Is that a sale of the whole company or part of the company?
No, we thought just about EcoVac, because or the struggling entity.
That's helpful. Thank you.
One last question. Do you have a recommendation for what that big cash cow is, number 2?
You're over.
Flying drones.
Thank you all. The next presentation will be at 1:45.
more. Like I'd be sweating, taking my winter coat off when I would have it. Literally. Okay, now it's time. Are the judges ready? All right.
I'm Robin. I'm Robin.
Hello. Welcome to the final round of the 13th Annual Schlesinger Global Family Enterprise Case Competition. I now request that all observers please be silent. Please silence all cell phones and any other devices. At this time, I would like to ask the judges to introduce themselves by stating their name, title, and affiliation. May I please request the lead judge to start the introductions?
Thank you. Welcome. I'm Steve Schlesinger, CEO of SEGO. We're a market research data and analytics company. I'm a UVM grad of 1983.
Hi, welcome. My name is Robin Worrell, and I'm head of business development and strategy for my family business. I'm second generation, and we are in the generic pharmaceutical industry. I'm also a UVM alum, and I also participated in the second ever FECC.
Chuck Tauk from Tauk Inc. We're a worldwide travel company that celebrated 100 years last year. I'm third generation retired. We're working on the fourth generation, also a UVM grad.
I'm Adam Ifshin. I'm the co-founder and CEO of DLC, a United States domestic real estate owner and operator. Welcome.
My name is Mira Bloemen. I'm a professor on regional innovative capacity in Groningen, the Netherlands, and I'm the chair of the case selection committee and one of the judges for a long time.
Thank you. I would now like to introduce the team from Asade. The team will have 20 minutes to present. The remaining time will be displayed on this laptop. With 5 minutes remaining, I will hold up the green 5 minutes remaining sign. At 1 minute remaining, I will hold up the yellow 1 minute remaining sign. When the 20 minutes are up, I will stand to indicate the end of your time. You may take up to 30 seconds to complete your last sentence. Judges then have 10 minutes to ask questions of the presenting team. Once again, I will signal 5 and 1 minute remaining. At the end of 10 minutes, I will stand to indicate the end of time. You may take up to 30 seconds to complete your last sentence. The team from Asade may now start their presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kiang. Thank you, David, for being here. We are very happy to have you and to be able to present to you a strategy going forward for the company. We want to start by acknowledging the past and thinking about the words from Mr. Kiang. One could not train a real fighter by shielding them from every blow. But we want to invite you to accompany us on this journey. A general can provide guidance to his successor. And in family business, guidance is so important, and we're here to help you guide you through this process. My name is Ignacio from Costa Rica, and I'm accompanied by Julian from Colombia and from Adrian from Germany. We're going to take a look at what's the situation. We divided this into 3 blocks by taking a look at family. And we think the family is doing great with good relationships that then follow up to business performance. Then we have ownership, both family and the public that's invested in your company recently. And we know that there are some concerns that have lately been putting some pressure inside the company and for the family. And then we have a great historical performance on the past 25 years that have been powered by the growth of China and your intellectual ability to capture that opportunity very fast, But we have recent challenges, specifically in ECOVAC. And we want to say that we find 2 areas that are doing good, and we have 1 area that we're gonna deeply look into first, while then talking other points that could be improved in those 2 initial areas. The main identification of an opportunity that we will tackle is how family and business are working in a style of silos, limiting the long-term strategy of the company going forward. The focus areas are 1, the financial pressure coming from the latest results, and the missing corporate unity in order to carry out the company's mission and vision. The brand dilution also caused by the silos, and the missing corporate focus from HQ that causes also a cultural misalignment in these separated silos. Our objectives today are 1, to create synergic value, 2, to redefine the brand identity, and 3, to enable these 2 first points by creating a structure and a culture that will support this strategy. We're gonna look first at corporate strategy, then investments, and finally, structure and culture. Corporate strategy. We thought about 3 different options that could be tackled. First, status quo, maintaining a silo style of working. 2, competing on resources. Whoever performs the better will receive the most of the resources. Or 3, combined resources, making both business units carry a same structure. But to be able to do this, we need to take a look at how to do it. How to generate not the sum of the separate parts, but an exponential growth structure. These factors that are to the right of the slide, product, what's the target consumer, the motivation for the company being here, and the competition that's in the market are the 4 things that we want to look at briefly. On products, we see 2 star products that have very well-aligned technological needs and manufacturing needs. On customer targets, very distinct customer targets. Motivation, we have 1 business unit that's now carrying a purpose of need, and the other one has big aspiration. How can we align this? And on competition, we see 1 red ocean versus 1 bluer ocean. Our proposal is, think about first, we have products that already have a lot of synergies. 2, if we have a red ocean, how can we transform this into a bluer ocean by focusing on a niche that's also premium and that has synergies with Tineco? Unifying the family efforts in order to build the aspiration and the need to construct this unified business unit, and then how to focus on niche while competing heavily with Bissell. We are proposing 1 unified company that will generate enough savings to provide the investments of the future. We even thought about names that could provide this transformation and leverage, and we thought that thinking about the past is something that shouldn't be carried forward, and you, as a family, should think about something that represents the future, such as Tineco Skytech. Why are we putting Tineco first? Here's where we have the most brand presence abroad and where we can manage to capture the most value going forward. This should also be accompanied by a vision, and we want to deeply propose a strategy that's based on a back to the future strategy. What are we good at? What are our capabilities? Looking up at the starry sky while staying grounded on the floor, such as where our products are. Throughout this change, we will generate significant cost savings. First, by unifying the functional area needs, so what are we good at? Marketing, R&D, and sales. Those 3 can be unified now because we have similar needs on the companies. And then focusing your time, your efforts, the strategy on the core values coming from the family. So what would these investments look like? First, on R&D, we are proposing a unified R&D structure. And if we think about the future, what do we think the vacuum cleaners or the washers are going to be like? Are they going to be separate products or they need to be combined? Would a combined product have better advantage for the future? A company that focuses on product rather than 2 units on their own products. And focusing the marketing efforts on one similar target. Then improve reputational efforts through a PR and marketing campaign and lobbying to tackle the new markets that are going to be the target markets ahead geographically. And for the global expansion, focus on the new emerging markets, mid, high-end, capable to buy our products, and build executive structure that knows very well the international market, but also the Chinese market. And we're going to tell you how to build this structure in simple steps.
Thank you, Ignacio. So, David, I want to start with this quote from you: preserve the company's legacy while introducing modern management. Basically, we want to focus on structure and culture, how to implement this strategy that we just saw. We have 3 options. We saw that previously you have some issues with your C-level management team, and we figured out 3 options that we could implement. First was a status quo, maintaining the leadership nucleus, then adjust it, and third one, do a reset. And we want to focus on a reset. We consider that this part is critical and we want to reset the leadership nucleus. So what is this composed of? Culture, because for us, culture could eat the strategy for breakfast. If we don't have a strong culture, we cannot implement all the strategy that Ignacio just mentioned. And then people, that is the one we're gonna choose to lead this team. So on culture, we want to redefine the corporate culture. As we are gonna have a merger of the business, we need to have a new culture that is based on the values that the family want to incorporate inside the company again. We want you and your father to establish all the values that you want to incorporate in this new culture. And then we want you to work as a team for this new culture. Then the idea is to identify the talent. Who of the nuclear leadership team is not performing well that we need to change, and who is also not involved in the new culture that you want to implement it. Then the idea is to have a hiring process to find these people that is meeting the needs of the business and that fits the new culture of innovation and high performance team. And finally, we need you to train your teams and to start creating a great team bonding. Now I'm gonna pass it to Adrian to talk about the corporate governance.
All right, thank you. So structure, culture, redefined governance structure. So far, the leadership nucleus, we saw that it was something that worked, but we're here to actually improve things for the long run. So what we recommend is to establish a board of directors where the family is present and where there are also 2 externals present in the board of directors. What are the main tasks, the main responsibilities for this board of directors? That would be the long-term strategy development, focus on growth on a rather bird view, and also to really have a strict eye on market tendencies. How to do that? That would be with the board of directors. Main responsibilities or main aim on the left side, which would be the global and local strategy, local in this term, the Chinese market. Budget allocation, since we're currently not in the best times, so we need to have an eye on the finances for sure. The decade of like how often to meet would be once per month, and quite importantly, manifested decision-making and governance for this board of directors, so actually everybody is then also following the protocol. Who do we see in this board of directors? As mentioned on the slide before, there would be on one hand Donkey, as a carrier of the family and culture of the company, You bring in the entrepreneurial mindset of a founder, and on top of it, you carry the seniority for the company as a big value carrier in the front. Then on the other hand, of course, we also see you, David, there in the board of directors. Your main tasks there are the implementation, the business strategy, and also the internationalization, as you are more familiar with the international markets according to your education that you went through. On top of that, we recommend 2 external positions, one with a strong tech and R&D background. That's specifically in the consumer electronic markets, because we saw that some of the C-level members so far have a tech background, but not necessarily in consumer electronics, or speaking specifically about vacuum cleaners and floor washers. Second external position would be the marketing lead or marketing expert, who should have international macro knowledge about the developments that are ongoing not only in China but also globally. And then we would have 2 internal positions. One would be the current R&D responsible, who's Jinju Tang, as a technology lead and who's experienced with the products for a very long time of the company. And on top, a chief marketing officer who would come in with the marketing strategy and a strong international focus, since we see the biggest potential internationally. Right. Following that line of the board of directors, the redefined C-level suite, we recommend here a new team, and their main responsibilities are to orchestrate to the departments, to ensure strict implementation of the strategy, and to ensure as well operational excellence. How is that going to look like? So it's going to be a new structure. It's going to be composed out of new members. We'll have a new modus operandi, which I'll explain in a second. And very important, we will have their full ownership in each of their departments, so that on one hand, for you, David, there's going to be the relief of delegating tasks. On the other hand, full accountability for the people who are taking the tasks. So the C-level suite, it's not going to be strict hierarchy as we might know it from other org charts. It's going to be contribution and collaboration between the C-levels, whereas you still always have the lead, David. We will have there, of course, finance. We will have their marketing, research and development, which also has the responsibilities for the tech and operations, sales locally and globally. So the Chief Sales Officer is also going to be present there. And for HR, since the talent development, talent management, and to transport the culture of the family to the corporation is extremely important here. So after the 2, let's say, leadership institutions, the most important part is going to be the operating company, where Ignacio already explained what the plan is here, to merge and unify the functional units, to make use of synergies for cost savings, to have budgets to invest in the future. What's the most important part here? That's to break off the silo thinking, ensure alignment all over the departments, to live actively the company culture, and of course to contribute to the greater good of the company. Last but not least, we also identified risks that are currently present for the company and for the family. We have the risks in an order from A to C, upgoing order. A is the most important one or the most risky one. We are seeing here the competition that are simply due to the technological advancements, the low entry barriers, and the loss of the first mover advantages. Unfortunately, it hasn't become that hard to build vacuum robots anymore, so the competition can keep up quite easily. Then we have, as second risk, the internationalization, globalization. China's consumer market is shrinking, and other markets are simply more attractive, especially with our credo to move more for excellent, more for premium products. That's more in saturated markets like Europe, the US, and other countries with a higher economic, higher wealth in general. And then, especially for you, David, we have the point of the family risk. You're in your 5th year of a CEO, and we see that the company's success is, from an external perspective, quite heavily linked to your personal performance. And we want to build up a safe shield for you here, that it's getting impossible for you to lose your face due to external changes in the economy. So what are our risk mitigation points? We have the focus on one business unit. This is to make use of the synergies and exploit there the core capabilities, research and development to be aligned to pull into one direction, and to also combine the marketing and the internationalization of the sales efforts. For the internationalization, we recommend to modify the sales executive profiles who know both. Who know both means here the Chinese market and also the international market. And then last but not least, for the family, the mentorship backed up by public relations. So we are going to talk about everything that is going to happen so that it's not happening anywhere in a, let's say, silent chamber anywhere on the C-level floor, which helps to ensure the credibility and is hopefully going to succeed in measurable results. And now coming to our timeline for the implementation.
So how can we implement this? We divided this into the 3 steps that you already saw, complemented by the action plan. So this should be an urgent, immediate matter to initiate a communication plan followed by the business unit merge. We know that this takes time to develop in such a big corporation, so we are spending on planning well this and executing throughout the right people a safe amount of time. Then, when creating the cash enough to invest, we can start putting the focus on the R&D efforts first. We're talking about becoming more focused on the products that we develop for the international market and for the Chinese market, now focused on product, not 2 separated business units. Then the internationalization strategy as a follow-up investment on where are we going with the product that we already developed. And then, as a third point, the PR and lobbying campaign that will be a complement to the backbone that we would already have in place. And then the structural adjustments should be in line with the start of the communication plan and the merge. Why? Because we need the talent, the people that will be able to execute this step by step. Of course, we know this is a process, so we think that the shaping the leadership and the cultural alignment is step number 1, so that the family essence can be in control of what's happening in such a big corporation. Followed by the board of directors restructuring and the C-suite level that will accompany the change. Today we have presented an idea of how we can grow. And we think that by focusing again on family and business and thinking about a strategy that could take us to success by first leveraging on the economic benefits that come from one unified business unit that focuses on the core capabilities, R&D, marketing, and sales, will help the company go forward, but also preserve the family legacy, the family values, ensuring that the structure that we build will let us control those behaviors and those strategic focuses that we'll have ahead. Thank you very much, and we'll be happy to receive any questions now.
Thank you. Judges will now have 10 minutes to ask questions of the presenting team. I invite the lead judge to begin the question and answer period.
Thank you very much for the presentation. If you could just flip back to your last slide, 32, I think. I just wanted to talk a little bit about cultural alignment. You know, you're asking us to bring together 2 businesses, and they're being run by 2 different people right now, myself and my son. And I would love to know what you think good looks like if we achieve cultural alignment, and what are the things we have to watch out for when it comes to that?
Thank you. Of course. Basically, we want to start from what we mentioned at the beginning, the idea is to start from the C level because you have some misalignment there. So we have 2 years of implementation of this part because we start with the C level. We need you to focus with your father on the values that you want to implement in the new culture. And then when you have these values and the culture that you want to create, then you start putting it down to the organization. That's why it's also connected on who is the talent that match this culture that you want to implement for the future for this combined company. And then in the next year that you start combining the divisions, you need to also take care a lot on how to implement the culture and who is going to stay inside the company, because for sure it's going to be some people that is not going to continue inside the company. And that's why we prioritize also having HR as your nucleus leadership team.
I want to complement that by saying that you have both proven yourselves throughout time and you carry the family values. You are the ones carrying the flag of the family to the company. So the mentoring program that you, Mr. Kiang, will provide to your son will help you to develop the company now together, as we started stating in the presentation, controlling the culture and going forward to then developing the talent at the C-suite level.
Great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate all of your insights on what you put together. So we will take some time as a family to think about what you've proposed in terms of merging the two companies together. I'd really like to hear a little bit more, though, about some of the other alternatives you looked at. Did you look at divesting? Did you look at any other, I guess, specific business alternatives, especially because, as you pointed out, this is urgent?
Yes, we indeed looked at different options. The first one that we presented is continuing with what you're carrying right now. We know that the results are not going as expected. So the second option that we thought about was make them compete and now focusing on whoever is the strongest. But would that be fair for the family business? Would that be fair for the history of the company? We thought that unifying the strength and generate the unified structure to generate the cash flows to then put that into the future investments that you two will decide together are the right way to show a unified front to the investors, to the public, and then carry out a strategy together.
And another point that we deeply analyzed, but actually didn't want to present here, was to get rid of one of the parts of the company where we said simply it's still too promising, still too good. We wouldn't recommend that.
Thank you.
My question has to do with your silo analogy. There's 2 silos in the 2 of us, and your recommendation is for 1 silo with David as the head. And yet the team that you are suggesting he have beneath him tend to be people that have been alienated by him according to some of the facts that we've seen. And it seems to me that their affinity is really for me. I'll play the dad. And I wonder why you are not suggesting that the 2 of us join together in that 1 silo approach.
So thank you very much for the question. It has multiple layers that we thought along. So one thing is we don't want to overcomplicate it with coming into decision-making issues. So we don't want to propose here a new structure which could end up in ties for decision-making. Another big part is we have the shift of generation. We have the shift of power already since 5 years ongoing. David is doing a great job. And the great thing for both of you is you're quite aware of your capabilities and the other one's capabilities. And we see simply how you pulled up Tineco as a new company besides of the existing business. You have this strong founder entrepreneurial spirit, whereas David is the young generation. We see it in his appearance, also like today. We see it in his approach. And we don't want to let you compete. We want to actually make you contribute together. So as we had with the equation, 1 + 1 doesn't mean 2. It can be better.
Thank you. So early in your presentation, Ignacio, you mentioned and highlighted challenges that the business was having on the business level. And in your, no, you don't have to go back. I actually liked the slide you were at, because the question's going to be about the connection between that and the, on your implementation plan, you opened up verbally by saying that there was an urgent, immediate need. But this is a 5-year plan. Explain to me how this businesses have 5 years of runway to execute a plan.
We very well thought about when and how to execute this by prioritizing the transformational plan, because this is about merging two companies that right now are working, as we said, silos. So creating a shock, which may sound a little bit intuitive, is the right way to do it, because we don't want to stay with the bits that are not useful for the future. So going forward, the first step was think about how we're going to deploy this and then start the merge with the right step forward, while in parallel developing also the talent in steps, starting with the most important 3 areas of focus. So again, R&D first, who's gonna be the one leading that, as we proposed in the slides, marketing, thinking about both Chinese market and internationalization, and finally, how are we gonna execute this? What are the bodies, as we explained, building the right board of directors, building the right structure within the company, and having the family showing a unified front.
I will be continuing on that because as David or Donkey, I can be both in this situation. I feel a bit anxious because business is really going down the slope, and it's there is a very big sense of urgency. And in your slide on 21, you also mentioned costs. So you talk about what you want to invest, but we don't have the financial slack to do that. So what are your suggestions on cost reduction in order to facilitate the investments?
Can you jump to the slide, please? So yeah, that's a very good question, and we thought about this. Going into a change or a major change, I mean, we're talking about a company that has close to 10,000 employees. We're talking about a big company here. Is rather tricky if you don't have budgets allocated. So to have to go to a change without allocated budgets is rather tricky. And we saw there, or we see here, the big opportunities in combining departments like research and development to combine their other internal functions to simply not afford double costs on both sides of the companies, but to reduce the departments, use these synergies and use that saved money to go further into the future.
To add on that, one very important thing is that now we're looking at a very different picture of what we had before. We think that there are so many synergies in the, again, manufacturing and R&D that we can condense that and reduce the costs that are being generated by the silos effect. Then the target customer will help to reduce the marketing investments into one area of focus. And then we have the competition, where here we're tackling a more premium niche user rather than a very broad market that has a big competitive spectrum there. So now we're focusing on niche, and then we have one competitor to tackle. So marketing efforts, again, are going to be the focus to then generate enough cost savings to invest in what we think is the future.
Any last questions?
Yes, I have one. You suggest a rebranding of the name. Could you elaborate a bit on that? Why you think that's important to do so?
Yes, especially because we're
SkyTech?
thinking about two different cultures that are going to be merged into one. Thinking about the future is key in order for the shock to be effective. So even the name is one key part of the strategy of not looking to the past, but the future.
Thank you all. This concludes the presentations for the Graduate League.